Welcome to Contractor Cuts, where we cover the good, the bad, and the ugly of growing a successful contracting company.
Welcome back to Contractor Cuts. My name is Clark Turner.
I'm Jared Flo.
Thank you for joining us again this week. So today we are talking about hiring your friends, hiring family members, hiring your spouse, which is the hardest.
Yeah.
We're diving into how to do it well. We see a lot of people that we're coaching, probably close to 50% of the people that come in,
at least,
either have a partnership with a friend or have their brother that works for them, or their aunt is doing the books for them, or their wife is doing the books, or the husband's helping out doing some stuff. So a lot of relational stuff that happens, and I feel like a lot of our coaching turns into being therapists.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, honestly, I would say probably everyone that has come to us in the coaching program who has some family member, spouse, or whatever, one's pulling the weight and the other one is not, or one feels like they're pulling the weight and the other one is just kind of, on the coattails, or, like there's that. I don't think that I've ever seen a partnership between friends or family that everybody was like, oh yeah, I mean, we're both killing it. We're both at 100%. Yeah.
And if you're listening to this and think we're talking about you, we've got a lot.
Yeah, that's
it's
right.
Not just you.
You're not the only one.
A lot.
Yeah.
So today we're going to break that down. We're going to set up what you should be looking for and how to do this well. We say don't,
right?
But that's not a reality, right?
Yeah.
If I don't have enough money to hire a bookkeeper and my wife's at home hanging out and wants to help out and keep my QuickBooks up, great.
Yeah,
I'll take all the help I can get.
Yeah, it's not a horrible idea, right? It's just it can make things really, really difficult.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about how to do it systematically in a really, really easy way that allows accountability without frustration relationally, or as much as possible.
Yeah. One of the things that I think the reason why we see so many people with family members, friends, or whatever is anytime you're hiring somebody, you're hiring for quality is what they bring to the table and all the stuff, but there's no real way to know, am I going to be able to trust this person, right? If you're hiring off Indeed, off the street somewhere, like you hope they're trustworthy, but you don't really know it. You've got that built in as friend, family, or whatever, right? So it's natural to think, oh, it's a no-brainer to hire my brother-in-law. I'm going to bring my wife in because we have the trust already, which is something as an employer you want to gain.
It's hard to find.
It's hard to find somebody that can kind of hold the banner of the company and run with it.
Yeah.
So you've got that built in already, and so it's a natural instinct to say, you know what, I'm gonna hire my brother.
Yeah.
But we see it go wrong a lot because you lean into that trust of like, oh, well, we don't have to have rules. We don't have to talk about stuff. It's my brother. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
Right. And that's fine while things are going great.
Yep.
While things are going great, you guys are celebrating. You're knocking back a couple beers in the evenings. Like you're enjoying it. Things are going great. When things get any kind of difficult, sticky, or whatever, that's where it becomes a real big problem.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times employees don't work out for we've covered a lot of different reasons, but one of them is bad leadership, bad accountability, bad setting goals. A lot of it is on me as the employer,
right?
And it's easy to blame the employee for those issues, and then employee sitting there pointing his finger back at you, saying, "No, that's your fault."
Right.
And so it becomes this finger pointing as to whose fault it is, and the truth is, it's probably a little both. And so that's one of the hardest issues with this. Also, going into it, when you can have an employee, you can have a friend that's working for you or a spouse that has high integrity, hard worker, loyal, has every quality that you want, and they don't fit with you in your company or the job position that you want them in.
Right.
So you see your brother-in-law and he's amazing and he's great and like, dude, he's killing it at his job. He's really good at sales and he's a car salesman or whatever it is. He'll fit in great here. Well, being a really good salesman doesn't always say you're a really good project manager too, right? It doesn't always convert over that way. So what some of the issues is, okay, you quit your job, you come work for me, you're great at what you do, I love you, you're family to me,
we have fun together.
We have so much fun together, and you're loyal and you're honest and you do the right thing and you hit all our core values. but you're not organized or good at project management.
Right.
Or you're running an office, but you're not good at math. You don't work technically well in QuickBooks, or you're not good at getting back to people. I'm not good at remembering to do things on the agenda for my job description. So that's where a lot of the trouble comes in, is the right person for the wrong position. And I needed a hire. You're looking for a job. I trust you. I know you'll work well here. I'm not really doing a lot of, hey, why don't you go do an estimate for me on a job site? Let me see how you build that. Let me see, and do all the tests that we do up front for new hires. We don't do a lot of the, how well do you type? How well do you do that? All the stuff that you should be checking. You just assume, listen, I'm not going to test it. It's my brother-in-law. I'm not going to send him through my testing. Right. And so there is this, I really want it to work out, so I'm just going to fit that person into this job role, and I hope it works. And you're really setting yourself up for disaster relationally as well as professionally. So let's dive into some of that. So the biggest pain point that we have seen when you're working with a family member, spouse, or friend is that your professional relationship is usually seen through personal glasses. Right. So I know Jared, let's say we're brothers, right? And I know Jared, he's this guy and he's this way. He's always, he's always attentive. He's on top of things. What I've never had that interaction with Jared is me telling him what to do and him saying, yes, sir. We haven't had that interaction as brothers. That's That's not a normal thing for us to do. And as soon as that happens, Jared's looking through his personal glasses.
Who's this guy think he is?
Tell me that. You're not my big brother anymore. You're not my little brother anymore. Like, you can't tell me what to do. Right. And that stuff starts creeping in when it's like, well, I can, as the person that hired you, as the boss, as the person running these jobs, instructing you, hiring you to come in and work for me. I should be able to ask things of you that are in your job description to do. Right. And so a lot of times it's those personal glasses that people put on that they look at our relationship through that, thinking, well, I can separate it out. I can compartmentalize business and professional. You can't. Not when it comes into your heart and your feelings and and how you feel about this person or what you expected or assumed they'd be like as a boss. All that goes out the window. Right. Yeah. I think one big thing about the relationships and trying to separate them out, and Jared and I have been friends. I've known him since high school. We weren't good friends or close friends when we started working together, which was
in passing acquaintances, basically.
And it's so much easier to start professionally and then form personal, and then be able to say, well, we got to have the professional conversation and be able to bounce back and forth because professional is first. Now, when it's relational first, it's way harder. Because here's the difference. A personal relationship is about being. I'm there for you. I want to be with you. I want to hang out. I want to talk with you. I want to get a beer with you. It's being. Right. A professional relationship is doing. You're doing these things and I'm paying you to get them done. I need you to do this for us in exchange for this money. I'm buying this from you. And so the difference of being together gets crossed up with I need you to do for me. Right. And those two things, if you start with I need you to do for me, then I can go into being around you also. Yeah. So I mean it's kind of vague, but comparing those two is understanding this relationship is being together. We're friends, we're buddies, we're spouses, we're married, whatever it is. I'm here for you. I'm being, and as a leader, you need that as well. But professionally, I'm hiring you to do. And in a personal relationship, I don't necessarily, in a healthy marriage, telling my wife, I need you to do this for me. I need you to do this for me, and you need to do this, and you failed at doing this. Right. That doesn't work very well with the spouse.
Yeah, and I learned a lot of that the hard way. And I had one of the first employees that I hired was somebody that I knew. I had done life with him, hung out with him. We were good friends, not like we hung out all the time, but we were good friends. Yeah. Hired him in to be a project manager for me, and we blurred the lines a lot. Yeah. And I didn't realize it because I just was trying to care for him. They were, trying to help him be better at his job, trying to help him solve situations, and also like personal life. As a boss, there are a lot of times that you're having conversations with your employees of, hey, what's going on? How's life? How's the home life? And there's sometimes that you get the opportunity to have conversations and maybe talk to them about your experience in marriage or whatever. And so there is some of that where you're kind of up against the line of personal and business, But when it is somebody that you started with a friendship with, that line is blurred. And then we would finish that conversation, and then I would have to have like accountability conversations of like, hey, you're not doing this stuff, right? Why are you not getting these things done? And it while I was coming at him from a boss level, like a professional boss, business side, he was hearing it through the lens of personal. Yeah. Right. And so we
a few minutes ago, we were talking personal.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And so there was a lot of disconnect, and I had to learn how to do that, the timing of it. And there were plenty of times that I needed to, I would say, hey, I need you to meet me out at, such and such. We're going to sit down. We're going to, break bread. We're going to talk, have a dinner together, but we need to work and figure out this relationship and have some clarity conversations, or this thing is not going to go well, and there was a long runway that was given to him, and eventually, he went his a different way because it just wasn't working out here, It just became more and more difficult.
Yeah. It is very difficult to, as a boss, and we talk about this in a couple of other leadership podcasts that we've done earlier, but there is a line as a boss where I'm supposed to carry your burdens as my employee, but you're not responsible for my burdens. Right. Right. And we've talked about this a couple times before. As a friend, we do that for each other. And there's seasons where I'm struggling and you're carrying me, and you're struggling and I'm carrying you, and we're really there for each other and helping each other out and sacrificing for the other person's betterment. Right. Right. And so that's a healthy friendship. In a relationship with a boss employee, it can't be that. As a boss, I'm not. A bad boss is making his employees carry his burdens. Right. Right. Now, there's a space for when an employee grows into a management team and we're all kind of growing this together. Yeah, there's tons of that. Right. But at the same time, when I had a project manager that was, the first 2 years that they were with us, I'm not telling them my personal stuff. Right. I'm not making them carry that burden. I'm not asking of them anything outside of what they're supposed to be doing here. Right. And so there's all sorts of lines like that where it's hard to be a good leader for a friend that when we were equals and now I'm supposed to be your leader and you're supposed to follow me into battle here. That's a difficult hill to climb. Yeah.
Well, and mainly because I am the boss. I'm in charge of your paycheck. I'm in charge of putting money on the table. I'm in charge of how well the business is doing. If I'm letting them know some of the things I'm struggling with or personal life that I'm struggling with, it actually hits them on both sides. Yeah. Right. It hits them from the personal side that they care about what I'm going through, what I'm dealing with and whatever, but it also puts them on a little bit of shaky ground business wise of like, oh crap, I didn't realize like he was struggling like that. What about my job? Yeah.
Right. I'm going through this divorce and I'm thinking about leaving my wife. Shoot, I thought about renting an RV and just driving for the next 3 months across the U.S. Yeah. And you're sitting there as my friend saying, okay, so should I put a resume together? Try to start looking. I'm so sorry, bud. I hate to hear that about your relationship. What should I do about me? Like, right. Yeah. And so, there's.
Well, and that's a standard with just employees. Yeah. Right. It's a standard with any employee, anybody that is, I'm going to say it this way, but is under you, right? You're over them as far as the boss. You shouldn't be sharing your personal life information with them, things you're struggling with. When you have a friend or family that's working with you, it's natural.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Either you share it with them or they're going to know about it.
Yeah,
right?
They're about a Thanksgiving dinner.
They're involved in your life, right? So it breaches that thing without you doing it, right? And so it can cause a lot of issues and upheaval in the company, some mistrust, all sorts of different things.
Yes. So all of that said, that's our warning of why we don't like it and the difficulties of it. If you are doing it, if you're currently in have a employee or work with someone that is a spouse, relative, or friend, we are going to talk through how to set it up to where your relationship is not on the line just because there's some tension at work. Right. And so the key thing that we want to do is we want to create a system that highlights failure. So you are the bad guy, right? Yeah. We want this systematic way to say, hey, Jared, man, listen, this is what we talked about. This is what's not happening. Man, I feel like you don't want to work here. Like, you're not doing this. Where I'm not saying, hey, you're not doing what I want you to do, so get out of here. You're fired. Right? And so how do we do that? How do we set up a system that highlights the failures so you can see when you're failing, and it's not me constantly berating you about how bad you're doing at your job. First thing that we have down is opening an open conversation about fit and what happens if this isn't working.
Right.
Right. Leaning on caring more about our relationship than our business. So let's say you're married to my sister, right? You're my brother-in-law, and you're looking for a job. I need a project manager. You've been in construction before. It might be a really good fit.
Yeah.
First thing I'm doing is sitting down with you saying, hey, Jared, listen, before we talk about this job, I want to have a conversation about what I'm looking for, and if this doesn't work, what that's going to look like.
Right. Right.
I want to have that open conversation about if you do or don't fit as Jared, the individual, not Jared, my brother-in-law. I want to make sure that fits. And I also want to circle the spots where you don't fit so we're both aware of those.
Yeah.
Right. You've never done project management, so organization is going to be a struggle for you. If you're not organized, I'm not going to be able to keep you here long term.
Yeah.
Right. Let's talk about that where you wouldn't fit.
Yeah.
Hey, where else do you think? Here's the job description, Jared. Where else do you think you're not going to fit with this? Look through this and let's have that conversation about fit right now. Because we have that with every employee. Every employee isn't going to be 100% perfect in any category. Mm-hmm. I want to know where you think you're not 100% and where I might be able to help you circle some of these. And then we're going to look at that and say, hey, so if this starts going downhill, maybe this isn't a good fit for you here.
Right.
Right. And we both agree, yep, if I can't get that stuff, I don't learn and I don't grow there, this wouldn't be a good fit for me.
Yeah.
Cool. We've had that conversation. Next, if this isn't working, if that's the case, if you don't like this, I don't want you to feel like you're trapped here because you're working for your brother-in-law. Mm-hmm. I want you to be able to have the open conversation with me that you're not enjoying your job, and I'm not going to take it personal.
Yeah.
At the same time, if I don't think that we're a good fit working together, I'm going to have that open conversation with you. Are you okay with that? It's going to feel like me saying, Jared, I don't think you should work here anymore because it's not a good fit together.
Right.
That doesn't mean you're bad at your job or you shouldn't be doing this. It's just there's different personalities that fit when it comes to business, and I don't want to ruin our personal relationship at all.
Right.
So that having that sort of conversation up front before even starting the job, and once you start the job, doubling down on that conversation, but fit as well as what happens if that fit doesn't work out.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things, like a big reason for that is, the goal is to spend some time being proactive in looking at the future and planning for, if the worst case scenario happens, I want to protect our relationship and protect the company.
Yeah.
Right. So let's look at that. What you don't want to do is, we're going to rely on the trust in our relationship. And when something like this happens, we'll just figure it out.
Yes.
Right. That don't do that. Yeah. Right. If you're like, no, it's me and him, we talk well, we communicate well together. So if something like that happens, we'll just figure it out at the time of. I promise you that will not work. You have to set these things up. You have to spend some time, look into the future and forecast, hey, if this doesn't go well, if you don't perform at the job, if I feel like our relationship isn't working it doesn't jive, it doesn't groove with the way the business is running, just all the stuff you just spelled out.
Yeah.
Like you've got to think through that and have that conversation wrapped around in the effort of I think that you and I together in this business can make it successful.
Yep.
But I don't want that at the risk of our relationship, right? And so let's have a conversation about how do we maintain the relationship moving forward when and if hard decisions have to be made.
Yep.
Right?
That's right. I would say advice on that conversation too when it gets hard is I'm going to make it about what doesn't work for me, not what your issues are, but what doesn't work for me. So, and I'm always going to make it about our relationship first, which it is. It is about the family relationship if you were my brother-in-law, let's say. So my conversation with you would be something like, Jerry, listen, man, we've said from the beginning, we don't want anything to harm our personal relationship.
Right.
And I've started to get a little bit of inkling in my brain that's starting to hurt that.
Yeah.
Because of just us working together. And at this point, we both feel the tension.
Yeah.
Right? You'd have to be an idiot not to feel something.
Right.
Right. And so I would say, Jared, I'm starting to get like there's some frustrations and some other stuff. And I guarantee I know that you've got frustrations with me too. I know I'm learning and I'm new at this as a leader and trying to grow my team. But I want to take care of our relationship more than I want this company to just boom right now. And so because of that, I feel like you should be looking for another job because I want to make sure that we're guarded here. I want to make sure that you are safe and have a good income for the family that you have. And I don't want to, I feel like if we keep going the way we're going, it's going to harm our relationship. And I don't want that at all. Right. That's the conversation. I'm trying to protect our relationship. I'm not saying, Jared, you didn't show up for the third day in a row on time. Jared, you didn't do this. Jared, you didn't do this. Instead, I'm saying, listen, big picture, I care about our relationship. And I feel like we're starting to get to a spot where it might be a couple months away from harming if it continues how we're doing. We're just not a good fit business-wise, but we're a great fit personally. So that's kind of that conversation. But along with that, the next thing we have on our list to really set up these protections is you have to have a bigger financial runway than with the normal employee. Yeah. Right. So especially if you're a spouse, but really more if we're talking friends or family. My brother-in-law, if Jared, my brother-in-law, that I'm ready to lay off because this isn't working, it is very difficult to say, hey, Jared, you suck at what you're doing. Because of that, I'm going to be blamed for your kids and wife not having food potentially on the table. I'm going to be blamed for you getting kicked out of your house because you can't find any more work. I'm going to be blamed for all of that. And I'm going to feel that blame, and I'm going to blame myself, and my sister's going to probably blame me, and my nephews and nieces are going to blame, right? And so you have that whole level to where if you're a straight employee, it is what it is. Right. I'm sorry. Like, you can't work here anymore.
Well, and on the employee level, when you've got a non-friend family employee and it comes to the place where you need to let them go, you need to fire them, you are aware of their, like, the personal impact that's going to have. And sometimes you factor that in to the decision that you're going to make. I mean, we've had guys that got to the place where we knew we had to let them go, and they literally just had a baby. Yeah. You're like, oh my gosh. Right. Yeah. And that's a really, really hard decision to make. Yeah. Now compound that with, it's my brother-in-law. Yeah. It's my brother. It's my, whatever. Right. It makes it really, really difficult to make that decision. And I promise you're going to be a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months past when you probably should have made the decision before you have to go, okay, I have to. Like, I can't go any further, right? And so that's where this comes in of, like, you need a bigger financial runway when you hire friends and family to knowing yourself. Everyone wants to be like, oh, no, there's business and personal, and if it comes to it, I'll cut them the time up. Shenanigans. Yeah. That's just not the truth.
That's not how it works. Well, and when we say bigger financial runway, we always say we want you to have 3 months of salary that you could just burn on any new hire. For the next 3 months, I don't need you to make us money. If by then it's not working out, I'm going to let you go, and I just lost 3 months of your pay. Right. Bigger financial runway means I want you to have 5 months. Because at the end of 3 months, if it's not working out, Jared, listen, this isn't working out. I love you. I love you being a father to my nieces and nephews and a husband to my sister. But for both of our sake, I think you should look for another job. Right. But I'm going to pay you for 2 more months to job hunt because I want to make sure you're taken care of on my dime because you quit your job to take this, and I want to make sure you're taken care of. So you've got 2 more months of paychecks that I'm going to pay to make sure that you can find another job. If you get a job before then, I'd love to not pay you all that. But if not, I want to make sure that you're covered in this little gap time between leaving here and going there.
That's right.
That's the financial runway we're talking about, to where I can throw money at relational, to where I can't be blamed. Yeah. Where if an employee is not self-aware that they're messing up, they're going to blame me. That's what happens. The self-awareness of, oh, you know what? Maybe I did mess up, and maybe I am not the best at what I was doing at this company. Right. That allows an employee to say, you know what? I get why I'm being fired. A lot of times people don't have that self-awareness, and so we are trying to eliminate the need for that, to where I can say, listen, I'm gonna not make you in a bad position. I'm gonna pay for the next 2 months to keep working here. Right. Next, we've got all that thought through. We've got the money. We've had the conversations. We think they're a perfect fit, and we've talked through if they're not a fit. Next thing we're going to do is take our job description that we push you guys into writing all the time, and I'm going to define that job description to a 3 pages of what they are.
Extremely clear.
I'm going to be more clear than ever in terms of where the accountability is of what you need to be doing for this job. I'm going to write it all out. I'm going to edit it as you're working here. I'm going to change things. I'm going to put things into it. to make sure that you know in writing what you are responsible for.
Yeah.
That job description, it's crazy how many times people don't do this because it's like, hey, they've kind of been helping me. My brother-in-law's been a crew for a while. He knows how things run. All right, you're hired. Now I need you to start doing it this way. Nothing in writing. No way to say, hey, Jared, look right here. Remember how we said we needed this done on every Friday? You haven't done it yet since you've been working here.
Right.
It's written right here, man. You're the one. Don't make me fire you. You're firing yourself by doing this, man. Right. So that written job description is more important in this hire than any other hire to really spell out how they're going to be held accountable and how they're going to fire themselves if they don't do this stuff.
Well, and what that specifically does is that if it gets to the place where you have to make a really hard decision, you're not the bad guy.
Yeah.
There is we agreed. Was this clear? Yes. Did you understand it, what your job was? Yes. Do you agree that you didn't do it? Yes, I agree that I didn't do it. Okay, so here we are.
But I tried.
Right. Yeah, I know.
I understand, but it's not done, man. I can't, it doesn't, money doesn't grow on trees.
I'll tell you what, it will be a difficult conversation either way you look at it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right. But if you don't have a job description to go off of, it is your opinion that they're not working out here.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
And now it's the opinion of my brother-in-law, like, he thinks I'm a jerk. He thinks I'm a slack ass. He thinks I can't do my job. I've been working. Why does he not know? He doesn't do anything every day. I know what he does. I saw him playing video games. It becomes that thing where it's an opinion that you're not doing, that person's not doing the job. If you have this document, at least you have something concrete to set in front of them that if they want to get upset about it and point fingers, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah.
We agreed upon this. You've
got facts in front of me that you can do this stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After you've got your job description written, you've got it all laid out, the next thing, once you start working with that person, is we're going to do weekly accountability meetings. Now, you need to be doing that with every employee, of course. You need to have weekly check-ins. This is what you're supposed to be doing. Let me help you do better at your job. Let me look over your jobs. Let me go through this. We teach with our coaching what we call PAL meetings, project manager action lists, that we do with our project managers. Where we sit down and we go through every single job, 30,000 foot view, what's going on here, how can we get this better, how do we, anywhere that balls are dropping, we kind of help them see that and we coach them through.
How have you been taking care of the jobs, how you've been taking care of the clients.
Exactly. And so we want to be doing that, but also relationally. I wanted a two-way accountability conversation once a week about the jobs, about the projects, and then the same thing that we do in our PAL meetings. But at the end of it, I'm saying, all right, Jared, this is your time to have full reign to say whatever you want.
Yeah.
I got to be able to hear it. I can't be this sensitive person that can't hear critiques of them.
Right.
But I say, hey, Jared, listen, what isn't working for you in the way I'm a leader here? I need to know that because I want that feedback, and I'm going to give you feedback too. Like there's some stuff that you've been doing that's been bothering me, but I want to have an open conversation to make sure our relationship's protected.
Right.
And so let's have that conversation at the end of this meeting. Now you're not going to do it every week forever, but let's for the next month, 2 months, 3 months, have that part of the conversation that we're doing. That kind of leads into my last one.
Well, and I think that specific one, I think that's one that you and I have done over the years. I mean, over a decade or so of working together, we've done that tons. And I don't know if it was regulated as much of like we do it every week or every other week or once a month or that type of stuff that we were specifically talking about that. But we did it on a regular basis early on, and it's gotten to the point now where you and I both have kind of a thermometer of like, it's getting a little hot. Yeah. I think we need to have a conversation.
There was this one time that I can very specifically remember. I won't go to the specifics, but it was when there was some changeover in companies when we were moving from the construction here, and there's some moving parts, and we had a disagreement where we didn't see eye to eye on how things should be done. Yeah. And I remember saying, like, both of us sitting in your office, I remember and saying, listen, I don't need you to agree with how this is being built, but I need you to understand why I'm doing it this certain way. And if you're not okay with that, we shouldn't be working together. Right. I understand you don't agree. I totally understand you don't agree with this. I don't need agreements and I don't need a sign off from you, but I do need you to say, I understand where you're coming from, Clark, and I trust you on that, and I can still be on this team, right? And those are the conversations that are very hard to have.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that, the other person doesn't have the opportunity to either say, you know what, I can agree to disagree on this and continue on with this person. Because if you don't have that buy-in from the other person, 2 years later, they're still thinking about it.
Oh, yeah.
It's still festering in there, right? And so those type of conversations relationally with friends, even more important with family members, are the, hey, listen, I don't need you to understand, or I don't need you to agree. I just need you to see how and why I'm making this decision, how I'm not trying to hurt you in it.
Yeah.
And if you can't be here because of that, I understand. I totally understand, right?
Well, and I think the big point about that is, going along with the three topics that we've just gone over, you as the leader, you need to understand that once you set the foundation, you have the conversation, you have the job description, you've got all that put into place. It's not a one and done.
Yeah.
Right. You as the leader need to continue to check in on that. Hey, just want to check in. Where are we at with this? How you feeling? Right. You need to stay engaged with the pulse of that person, because a lot of times they're going to be hesitant to come to you. They might not want to say something. Because they agreed to this bottom line thing early on. They're like, I'm just not going to say anything. But again, that stuff is stuff that's going to fester. Yeah. And you want to have the confidence in your people, especially when it comes to friends and family, that they would raise their hand like, hey, we've got this relationship.
Yeah.
Of course they would raise their hand. That's you relying on the personal relationship for a business response. Yeah. Right? And you as the leader need to, same with any employee, but especially friends and family, you need to be checking in with them on these things. Where are you at with this? Yeah. How are you feeling about your job? This, with us relationship, I want to protect the relationship side. I want to make sure that there's nothing that's going on that's causing a discord, and then let's have that conversation.
Well,
right?
and so with what you're saying and continuing that, let's talk about spouses as well, because that's where it gets super sticky. Because my brother-in-law, I can let go and we can be upset, and we can wait 3 weeks and get a beer and be like, listen, I get it.
Yeah.
I can't wait 3 weeks to sleep in my own bed. No. Usually.
Yeah.
Right? Like I need to have that conversation differently for a spouse. And I think one of the hardest parts of all of this, and the stickiest part, so it's not black and white like we're making it sound, is that you think you're doing it the right way.
Right.
And I think you're doing it the wrong way. Who's right? Right? And so you're getting fired for doing it the exact way that I asked you to do it, and that's not fair, because, right, all of that stuff that happens in any of these relationships. And so I think with the spouse, the hardest part is when I'm at home, right? I'm thinking about my wife, right? If I'm at home and my job as a husband, now we're getting into a different area of relationships and spouses, but I believe as a husband, my job is to always put my wife first.
Yeah.
Put her first in anything that happens, and make sure that she is always taken care of. I want her to be the princess that she is, right? And so that I can't have that same attitude towards an employee. I can't want my employee to be the princess that they are, right? I don't want to put them first in every scenario, because as a business owner, the business comes first over me, over you, over us. If the business is healthy, then we all have jobs here.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's where some of this, the crossover starts happening. So my advice on that, like, let's say my wife was going to be driving to our job sites to take pictures and keep our social media posted, right? Let's say that's her job, that one of the jobs on her description, and we're 17 houses behind on getting those done, and we haven't posted in 3.5 weeks, and it's fallen off, and we've had conversations. Yeah, I'm going to, but I got to pick the kids up, and I'm going to. What I'm going to say is, there's really two options here. Either I'm going to take it over and just start doing the work,
right?
Or I'm going to say, hey, babe, I know that you are so busy that there are higher priorities in our life that you're handling outside of taking pictures. Right. I know you're busy, and I know that you're taking care of our kids. You went to the Costco yesterday, and I get it, because I wasn't going. Someone had to go buy food, right?
Yeah.
I'm justifying how they're acting first, and I'm saying I understand that is more important than driving to a house to take pictures. So why don't you let me handle that? Why don't you let me hire someone to do that? Because your time is more valuable to do what you're doing than to go do that stuff.
Yep.
Right now, she might be watching a lot of TV at home and not hanging, like maybe not be doing as much as I want her to be doing.
Yep.
That's a marital conversation, not a business conversation.
Yep.
Either way, what I'm going to say business-wise is, hey, why don't I take that off your shoulders? It seems like it's been 3 weeks and it's just really eating your lunch. It's taking a lot out of you. Why don't we put that on the shelf? I'm going to handle it for a little bit. I'm going to hire, I got an intern that's coming in that can definitely handle that, whatever it is.
Right.
But I'm going to figure out how to have someone else or myself take over that task without saying, hey, if you don't do this, I got to let you go. Right? It's more of a slow moving towards, what do you want to do here? Because a lot of times people say what they want to do, but that's not really what they do or want to do. Like in my head, it'd be great to do this, but really in all reality, I don't have more than 10 hours a week to put into this.
Yeah. Well, and what I mean with any of these, friends, family, or spouse, I think the biggest complication is that you as the business owner, your job and what you need to be doing is making the best decisions that you can make to put the business in the best place possible to be successful.
Yeah.
Right? When you have friends, family, and especially spouse, your decisions end up being, well, relationally, I'm not going to make this business decision because of how it's going to impact relationally.
Yeah.
That's if I've got a friend, right? I don't want to make that decision because I don't want to hurt my friend's feelings.
Yeah.
Right? And that could harm your business. When it's your wife and you know that if you make this decision, it means that you're going to have to take on more work business-wise, which means that she's going to have to take on more work at home, or I have to stay late because of this thing. So now she's got to go pick them up and take them to the baseball game all by herself, right? All of those things that are happening, the majority of your decisions are now being made associated with, how is this going to affect my personal life?
Yeah.
And that's why the husband-wife spouse relationship in a business becomes so difficult.
Yeah. Well, and there's not a money exchange, right?
Right.
Usually,
Yeah.
like if my wife was helping out doing our QuickBooks or doing the photos, like I said, there's not like a paycheck she's making.
Right.
She's helping me out in her head. She's doing it for me to help my day get more efficient. But if she didn't do that for 2 weeks, we don't lose any more money.
Right.
We're not paying someone to do it who's not doing the work.
Yeah.
So
it still needs to be done.
Yeah. And so that's where it kind of gets complicated, because it's like I can't threaten money. Like, hey, I'm paying you to do this and you're not, so I got to pay someone else to do this. Right. That's kind of a little more black and white with a family member.
Yeah.
Where if it's a spouse, or, it's like, well, we're kind of both working towards the same goal to make more money together. And it's hard to draw those lines.
Well, I don't know if you've experienced this, but for me, my wife and I have times that we're in a really healthy spot.
Yep.
And we have times that we're not in a healthy spot.
Yeah.
And if we're in not a healthy spot and I went to my wife and called accountability, be like, hey, I see that you're not really doing the job that you need to be doing. Like, this is not going to go well. This is a conversation that's not going to go well because the separation of business and personal is impossible.
Oh, really? You've never been...
How about those socks that have been laying next to your bed for the last 3 weeks? What are you going to do about those? All of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it really, on both sides, it becomes petty. It becomes, and it's like...
It's not worth it.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It becomes very, very, very difficult.
That's right. So all of that being said, what the best move on doing this, if there is issues in that relationship, or if there's not issues, having a third party person to help negotiate some of these and navigate some of these roads that you're going down.
Yeah.
That is one of the things that we do really well with ProStruct Alliance. And this isn't a sales pitch, but what we love doing is getting into your company and working for your company, not for you, for your company. And so we set up every single conversation. I mean, I remember a family that we've done some coaching for, where it's a father-son type thing, but it's like, hey, just so you know, your dad didn't hire us as his representative. I'm here to make sure this company does well. So I don't care about
motivated for the success of your business.
Yes, I don't care about your feelings. I don't care about his feelings. I care about the company being successful, and I'll tell you exactly what that means and how each of you are harming and each of you are helping.
Yep.
And that allows it to not have this other relationship of, hey, that's not right. It's a different angle of like, when I tell my brother-in-law that he's not doing a good job, he might be thinking, well, that's because I didn't show up to your birthday and I didn't come to this and I didn't do this. And there's these other glasses that he's seen it through, where if it's coming from a coach that's involved in the company that's saying, hey, man, you're not good at project management, bud. Then I look at the owner of the company as a coach and say, if you got to do these things, you got to let him go, man. I'm sorry. Like that, I'll be the bad guy here, but like, bro, you're taking advantage of your brother-in-law who owns this company, right? And so those type of conversations we can have very easily with people.
Which is funny because I've actually done that. I've had that conversation with a family friends situation that they had the week before had the same conversation.
Yeah,
and it went really bad. It did not go well. Because, like you said, all the baggage that comes with that conversation is being factored in. I had the exact same conversation, and the people that were like, "That's not fair. You can't say that." They heard me say it, and they were like, "Yeah, you're probably right." I did, but they could see it, right? It was an immediate reaction when it was friends and family having the conversation of like defensive. I'm not going to listen, blah blah blah, and pointing out the other people's flaws. When it was me, I don't care about any of the relational stuff here. What my motivation is the growth of this business, and we need to get the relationships in order for that to happen. Yeah. Right. And they were able to hear it because it came from that third party person. Right. And whether you go with us, as a ProStruct Alliance coaching member, or you find
a therapist,
or in the past we've had a friend of ours that he knows the both of us and doesn't have anything to do with the company. That if he signed on like, hey, if there's a problem that you need somebody to sit in and just hear and talk and mediate, I'm willing to do that. Yeah. Right. So it has proven to be a valuable thing for us, as well as the clients that we're coaching.
Listen, if you have currently hired or are thinking about hiring a friend, family member, or spouse into your company, we would love to give you a free one session of a conversation of how to navigate.
Yep. We'll hear your personal situation, what you got going on, and we'll process through it with you.
If you want to hop on a call with me or Jared, go to ProStruct.
It'd be better with me.
You write in a comment of who you want to talk to, and that person will call you. But go to ProStruct360.com and go to contact us and submit there. And request Clark if it's good for you. But we would love to have that conversation. I mean, for us, it's a long-term relationship that we're trying to make with contractors and help them grow to the next level. Whether you want our software, whether you want our coaching, whether you want, no matter where you're at, we love to help out and give you a free session to have that conversation about it. If you don't want the software, no problem. We're not trying to sell you stuff. We know that as you grow in your company, we've got plenty of ways that we can help support. So please don't feel bad giving us a call and having that conversation. Absolutely. Even though you're not ready to do coaching or anything else. We just love to meet you and help you out in those situations.
That's right.
All right. That's it. Thank you so much. Talk to you guys next week.
See you then.